Hey, everybody, welcome to Bizchicks TV. This is a place for tips, tools, and techniques, everything that you need to help take the hassle out of your hustle so that you can build a profitable business that's fun to run. Today is Tuesday. That means the digital diva is in the house. Terry Johnson online from New York City, right here with us right now. We're going to be talking marketing strategies, social media concepts, things to help you do better online. So, without further ado, we want to say thank you to those who are watching live on the replay, and be sure to check TJ out, follow, like, subscribe, share this. Without further ado, TJ, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of talking about marketing and marketing strategies and all those good things we need to keep top of mind now that we need to stand out online. Well, we always needed to stand out, but because we have so many tools now, hello, AI, thank you very much, that it is now harder to stand out. And I feel like that's like one of the main topics that we need to focus on this year, because I talked about the trends, marketing trends, but if you're not reaching who you need to reach, the trends really, yeah, trends are great, but I'm not reaching who I need to reach. What do I do about that? So that's where the focus is. I feel like the focus it needs to go going forward until we're gonna drive this car until it runs out of gas, basically.
Right.
Good morning, Dr. Tati.
Dr.
Dr. Tati's
Tati.
here. Thank you. Um, yeah, so I was trying to remember that we've been talking about serving a purpose, crafting a mission. I'm trying to remember what we talked about last week, but basically it was about purpose-driven content and branding. And I really want to go back because I think, especially if you're just starting out, or if you're a solopreneur, or you just, I'm a beginner, why do I need a brand? That thought came to me as I was listening to, because I was listening to last week's or the weeks before. And it was like, well, I don't need a brand. I'm not Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Nike. But as I said before, those brands started out with one person. I think about Nike all the time. Phil Knight, I believe his name is. He
Correct.
had the sneaker. He was going around trying to sell it out of his car or whatever.
Yep, Phil Knight.
Yeah. So, but that was the early days. I think I talked about a couple other like companies, like the guy that started Coca-Cola. There's a show on the History Channel, I think, and they talk about brands, excuse me, and how they got started. I believe I saw one years ago about how they started with Coca-Cola. The guy, I can't remember the man's name. He was a chemist, a scientist, something, and he took the Coca-Cola and made it something. He wasn't making a drink, is what he was. He was not making a drink.
Yeah, no.
I forgot what he was making, but it ended up being this brand that it is today. But I'm saying all that to say that you cannot think, well, I'm not a brand, I'm just a one person band, or I'm a solopreneur, or it's just me. When I say brand, I'm thinking of, and we talked about this, what's your purpose, what's your mission, why are you doing what you're doing? Because those are the things that you have to keep top of mind when it's one person, and then you grow and you hire more people and you become bigger. You have to keep the core message of what is my purpose, what is my mission. And I think I said before that these terms, it doesn't mean you have to sit down and write a business proposal that you're going to the bank with. We don't do that anymore. But I want you to just simply go, well, what is my purpose? What is my mission? What is the one singular thing that I want to accomplish with what I'm doing? And I think that people think, especially with brand, because I said, it's like, oh, I got to get a logo, a website, of this. But what's your purpose? Who are you serving? What's your mission? What's the one thing that you are trying to answer? You're trying to fix something as a business. Otherwise, you're not in business. You have to fix something. You have to serve a purpose. You have to solve a problem, an issue. Somebody needs what you have.
Mm.
So if someone or a group of somebody's or a large group of somebody's, if you're lucky, if they need what you got, you're in business. And money is being exchanged. That's the simplest way I can put this.
Dr. Tachi says, yes, one person can still be a brand.
Yes, thank you. That's what I wanted to get across because I just thought about it listening to the other two shows, and I was like, well, wait a minute. We talked about Nike and McDonald's and Coca-Cola and these big brands, and I'm like, that can stop a person from doing what they need to do today. Because it's like, oh, I'm not Coca-Cola, I'm not Nike. Well, like I said, Nike started out with one man with a shoe and a dream and a purpose. And he kept going. Door slamming. There's a movie about this. I think it's Ben Affleck.
Oh, where they made the shoe for Michael Jordan.
I want to watch it. I haven't had time, but that kind of movie interests me. So if I watch that, I'll get more of the details of Phil Knight. But I just know from just reading little stuff that it was just him and a sneaking, going around and getting a bunch of no's.
Right. Now
go ahead.
I looked up how Coca-Cola got started.
Okay.
And, I'm the history one.
Yes.
So it was invented in 1886 by an Atlanta pharmacist, Dr. John S. Pemberton. And it was a syrup that was created not for soda. It was for common ailments. It was a tonic.
Yes.
Okay. And the drink contained cocaine.
Yes, I remember that.
And caffeine from cola nuts.
And that was the thing that kept people invigorated was those drugs. They felt good. Because that's cocaine.
Yeah, cocaine and coke.
But see how his singular purpose of I'm going to make a tonic to make people feel better in 1888, 86, whatever
1880, it was. 1886.
Think about the health issues back then that weren't being resolved. There's another good one on the same channel. I can't remember the show. The Food That Built America is coming to me. I don't know if that's right. Don't quote me. But they did one on Coca-Cola. They did one on Heinz. They did one. The Heinz one really stood out to me because they developed the sauce because the meat, they couldn't keep meat fresh. So people were eating rancid meat. Again, this is 18 whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So he was making the sauce to cover the meat because it wasn't fresh, but they had to eat it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's in there. I think it's called The Food That Built America.
Oh my gosh.
Don't quote me. There's a bunch of them. They did one on Kellogg or Post. No, it was the war between Kellogg and Post. Those were actual people back then, and they were fighting each other about and it was a lot of these things came about because of health issues. But what I'm trying to say is they were solving a problem. And in the case of Coca-Cola, he wasn't like, yo, I'm going to make this drink that in about 100 years is going to be worth trillions. No, he was just like, I need to make a tonic because to make people feel better because we're in 18 whatever and it's not good healthcare. It's still not good healthcare, but it's a little better now. But I say all that because it's like they didn't start out, I'm going to be a brand. I'm going to be this big, gigantic, global, trillion value market cap brand. I'm just me, a chemist, making a tonic, using what I got, because I have a purpose, a mission. Okay, so that's what I mean. And people will hear these today, will hear that, well, I need to be a brand. I need to do these grand gestures, and I need to be, doing I need a Super Bowl commercial. You don't need that. What I'm saying in this instance of us with branding is serving a purpose, knowing your message, keeping on brand. So that means if your purpose is to, taking the hassle out of your hustle, we're talking about growing a business, that is a mission. Everything grows around that. See, is everybody understanding that? Because I just know that some people are going, well, I'm just a one person, whatever. I'm a bookkeeper, I'm a accountant, I'm a this, I'm a that. But you have to have your mission, because that turns into what we're going to talk about today is your message. How can you get your message across that connect and reach with the right people if you don't know what you're doing? Your message, you're serving a purpose. What's your purpose? What's your mission? One sentence. Taking the hassle out of your hustle. Right? That's one
Sentence.
It has to fit that. So the good thing about finding this one sentence, there are lots of tools that can help you pick the one that you want. A lot of them are free. Pick one. And I know early in AI land, we were talking about prompt engineers and crafting the right. Now, the way it has evolved is that it's the movie Her. I keep talking about it. I got to watch it. But you are just talking to this thing like it's your business advisor, your friend, your neighbor.
And it talks back.
Yes. And you have conversation with it just like you would have with a real person. Okay, I need a SCORE mentor. SCORE is, I forgot what the acronym is, but it's retired business CEOs and business people that
Yes.
give their advice to new business owners. So they have experience that they can apply and help you because you're struggling or you have a question. They have the answers because they have the experience. But see, your AI can be that because of the depth of knowledge. Now, again, here's the warning. It's not 100% correct. It gives you a good starting point. So you don't have like 1,000 things that cloud your mind and keep you from doing it. It can clarify things for you. And you're like, okay, I like the sound of that. Let me go and talk to the SCORE person, or let me go here or there, because instead of 1,000 questions, I've got the one.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. So you're going to verify. What do they say? Trust, but verify. So you're going to go verify the information, check it out, do a little, to confirm whether your AI got it right.
Yeah, don't take it face value. And just a real quick thing, that something I was reading this week, and it was saying one of the new AIs, they were saying like, oh, they didn't like it because it was hallucinating too much. Like a lot of them will hallucinate, which is they make up things to fulfill a request. Because think of this in programming terms. If you ask it a question, and think of this as a pie. This just came to me, a pie, 100% pie. And you go and you want the 100% pie. You want them to give you the 100% pie, but AI only knows 75%. AI isn't going to return and say, "Oh, I only got 75% of your answer." AI is programming language that's going to go out. Well, let me fill in, so I give them 100% result. That's if you're wondering why it does that, it goes back to computing. Like it has to give you an answer,
and it's going to give you 100% answer, even though 25% of that answer,
right? Because
it's not.
It's not going to come back and say I don't have it. Because like a real assistant, well, I don't have all of it, but here's 75%. AI is going to be like, well, I got to give 100% because they put in a request, input, and I got an output. So I can't come back. AI isn't going to come back and say, well, I only got 70% of this and you fill out the rest. AI is like, wait a minute, let me hallucinate and try to fill in the blanks. AI is pattern recognition. So if it has 80% of a pattern, it can knit the rest and make you 100% scarf or a pie or whatever. I hope that explains, that gives you why it hallucinates and why it's still a good tool to use, because that 75% you can take on your own and go, okay, I need to fill it in with from a real person or a real resource online. So AI isn't a failure like that. I see it as more of, I need help with this. I got 1,000 questions. Let me put it down to maybe 5 or 1 if you're lucky, and then go with that.
And
Okay.
then, yeah, it gives you a jumping off place, a
Yes.
place to get started so that you can get what you need without combing through the millions of pieces of data that is out there.
Right.
You don't have to go.
It's an outline. Think of it, if you're writing a book, it's an outline.
Yeah.
It's
And
if you're doing a portrait or you're painting a picture, it's a sketch. The most artists sketch first on the canvas, and then they put the oil paint or acrylic or whatever medium whatever they're going to use. But they sketch it out unless they're doing something abstract, which is that's a different animal. But I mean, what I'm saying is that it gives you an outline.
yeah.
And I like that Fran said it's a jumping off point, a starting point.
And we still have to do the work.
Yes, you have to do the work.
And I think a lot of people think that using AI, you don't have to have the concept or the whatever. You start this whole party and it helps you by doing the research. It's like the computer on Star Trek. They got to figure out where they're going. And
you got to give it a starting point. The same thing if you have a voice assistant, or if you use Siri or whatever voice on your phone, you have to give it a command. It's just sitting there. So AI is just sitting there like, it'll sit there forever until you wake it up and say, hey, blah, 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 whatever it is. I was thinking, I do this a lot. I'm like, I got an idea for a podcast. What do you think about? But and they go, okay. Some of them will go, okay, I need more information. I will just tell it, you give me the information. I'm asking you, because it'll ask me, oh, what's your target audience, or what's your this, or what's your that. I'm like, well, you give me that, because it's all I've asked you questions, so it's in there already.
This is very good.
That's how I like to use it. The good thing or the bad thing about this tool is that I always say screwdriver, you pick it up. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So you have to figure out what is the best way for me to
use it. Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to get that branding part out of it, because I know when people say branding, they think of these big brands, and I'm just a little person. And I'm starting out. I don't know. I'm not that.
You're good. If you're just starting out, it's a good place to be, because you will be able to craft your brand the way you want,
Yes.
And we talked about it here. Your brand is what you're known for. Yes. What people know you for. Even though you may say A, people know you for B.
Right. You're a blank slate. So
yeah,
where are you going? What are you going to start with? Because where you start, that's how you end up. That's the journey you're on.
Right. So
we're just talking about things that you need to think about. Simple stuff. What is my purpose? What is my mission? And again, that word mission, people go, I gotta make a whole business plan. And no, just who are you and who are you serving and what do you want to accomplish?
Right.
Think about that. Write it down. If it's a paragraph, whittle it down to a sentence.
Yep.
Whittle it down to a phrase, a tagline. Again, AI is good for helping with this. Right. And it will not give you 100% answer. It will give you a 75% answer. And you go, well, what? And I do this. Or I said, well, I like that. But what if we change this word? Or what if I do this? And it goes, great. That's even better. It'll tell me that's even better. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Right. It's really interesting because you ask it to give you, okay, so you put in there, this is what I do. Create me a tagline based on what I do, and here's the information, right? And it'll give you what it thinks, and then you go in there and go like, oh no, like TJ said, change that, do this.
Yes, you don't accept. Then that's where a lot of students go wrong when they use it. They ask it, write me an essay about something, and it writes the essay, and they slap it, they copy and slap it with the prompt that they don't even take the prompt out. or ChatGPT says, or whoever, they just slap the thing up there and the teacher goes, F. But why? You it's obvious why, but they don't understand that. So you take that as a sounding board. I always use it as a sounding board as, okay, I need some information. When I was a kid, I would go to the library and there's thousands of books, and I would have to talk to the librarian and ask, and she or she would point me in the right direction. Then you gotta look in the card catalog, and then you gotta find. You don't have to do that anymore.
So you remember the movie Ready Player One?
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, you gotta
That's
watch
another
that
one
one
I gotta
too.
watch.
Because there is a librarian of sorts in the movie that is helping them get wherever they need to go on this quest.
Okay.
So the guy says, well, what do you want? Because he's the one that can go and get all of the data. They didn't have to go.
You got to tell them what you want.
Yeah, you tell them what you want and they will go and pull the data.
Right.
He was pulling data from wherever, however long ago it was, video files, whatever it was. The little AI librarian went to go get the data.
Okay.
And so
that's commands. You giving it a command.
It was the exact same thing that you're talking about. I gotta watch
that movie. That's like the third or fourth time we talked about. I gotta watch that and the Her movie. I just forget whenever we talk about AI. I was like, okay, I gotta watch those movies.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. I was like, oh, and that what you just said reminded me of what it does. Oh, it goes out to the encyclopedia for you. You don't have to go pulling them books off the shelf and looking for it. It goes and finds the data.
All of this is programming. And if you haven't had a basis in programming, don't worry. It's just that's where my mind goes. And I'm like, I know exactly what it's doing. It's just pattern recognition because you're giving it a command. It has to perform the command. And if you've done any kind of computer programming, that was the deal. Like you got to make it give you a result, but you had to write everything out. Now it's just okay.
Right. And also when I was thinking about Star Trek, I remember in a few episodes of Star Trek, a foreign computer would come and try and download the data from the ship, get whatever
extract whatever it wanted.
Yeah, whatever was loaded. And so I was like, oh, so all they did was upload the data to the computer on the ship so that the computer could reasonably make some suggestions and help based on the data that it had. And sometimes the computer did not have the right data. It didn't have it because it wasn't in the
right. And in the olden days, that would be your stop. That would be your stop. But now we're not there anymore. So now we got AI I always look at it as it's knitting the rest or it's filling in the pie with what it knows.
Okay, let's just make this up. It's literally making it up.
And I can't remember the AI that these people, I don't know where I was. Maybe I was on Reddit or somewhere, different places. And they were complaining about this one. And it was like, it hallucinates too much. I can't use it. I was like, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want to hallucinate because I'm like, okay, is that right? I gotta go and check your work.
Right. And you have to go and check. And some of them will give you the source where they got the information from. Which I like that better because at least I can go and look up the source.
Yes. And that means that the data is, if it's a source, it's a website, hopefully is a person or an entity or organization that has written things and they know what they're talking about. So yeah, we love the sources. All right. So I just wanted to touch on that because we want to get into what today is about. The third, I call this the third part, is crafting the message. Because see, you have to know the purpose. You have to know your mission, why you're doing your why. And now you're going to get to the good stuff, to the messaging. So let me read what my assistant has wrote for me. And they wrote this thing for me. Okay, so so we're talking about purpose filling your brand. So purpose shapes your brand and your identity. Is not a logo, tagline, or things that we talked about. It's the deeper connection you're creating with your audience. Think of your brand as a promise. What are you telling the world you stand for? What experience can people expect every time they interact with you? And this is where your messaging comes in. If your purpose isn't showing up loud and clear in your messaging, you're missing a huge opportunity. People are bombarded with noise daily. Yes, that is the issue now. There's so much information, and I want to compare this to TV. Remember, there used to be just 3 channels. Anybody remember that? I even remember as a kid, the TV used to go off. There would be snow. Like, I don't know how I figured this out so young. Is like the TV went off. Like, it's just snow. But now we got to the point where CNN and cable, and it was 24-hour news, and it was like, but now it's so much information that we got to tune it out, and I tell you to curate your feed. That's where we are. It's like a a meteorite shower, a rain shower, a thunderstorm, and you got to get your umbrella and your galoshes, and you got to outfit yourself because there's a deluge of information. Okay, right. So that's the issue that we're dealing with, us as business owners, because we got to make content to reach our people.
Right,
but they're being bombarded. Okay, so they're tired of all the empty stuff they see online. When your messaging has meaning, you cut through the noise and grab their attention, which is what we want. And it says, but here's the thing, you can't just set it and forget it. Purpose needs to live in every aspect of your marketing strategy, branding, messaging, and content. If your purpose fades, so does your audience trust. Stay committed to it, and you'll build something lasting. And purpose doesn't guide your content. It energizes your marketing strategies, setting you apart in a crowded marketplace. Okay, so you want to think about using the power of purpose to build an unshakable brand that sustains you through every twist and turn. Thank you, Assistant Jessica. That puts it how I wanted to put it. So the crafting the message. So you want to craft the message, the content that resonates with your audience. So we want to think about messaging. So that's where the connection happens. It's the difference between forgettable information and a brand that people will talk about and recommend and say, hey, this is somebody know, like, and trust. Okay, it has to matter to them. So this part of the brand and the message is about what does it matter to your audience?
Right.
Does it matter? You're wasting your time.
I read an article on Substack yesterday about a young lady who had been blogging for a long time, but she wasn't getting anywhere. Mm-hmm. Right. And she was just blogging and SEO, all of the things to try and get people to resonate. Mm-hmm. But then she changed her story. She changed up what she was doing. And she went back over the blogs and noticed that the ones that were reaching people were not general. Right. They were specific. She specifically answered a particular question. Mm-hmm. She made it where the people she was giving people, because she did economics and something with sustainability, and she said this product does this, and I suggest that. She was giving real life suggestions to people, and they resonated with that. That caused her to take off,
and that's perfect.
And they grew her audience because she crafted her message for her audience.
Yes, that's it. Great example. Thank you. That gets into what I'm saying about the heart of effective messaging is, one, you got to know your core message. We talked about that. What problem do I solve? What I want people to know or feel or learn. Again, this all goes back to, what is your purpose? What is your mission? Why are you doing it? So that helps you with your core message. And then what she did was, speak their language.
Correct.
You say what you need to say to them, and it has to be personal. Yeah. I didn't say you got to, share. A lot of people think, well, okay, as a business owner, I got to get on and just regurgitate, just share every little piece of my life. You don't have to. You just have to share enough to where you are connecting with the audience. And I use Gary Vaynerchuk as an example all the time. He talks about everything under the sun except his family. I think in the beginning, years ago, I know he has 2 kids because he's mentioned them in the beginning. He never showed their fit. We don't know what that look like. I think he mentioned their name. They're probably teenagers by now. But in the beginning, he talked about them and his wife, his first wife. He never showed them. And then it got to the point where he stopped talking about them completely. He talked about every aspect of his life. His parents, we know his mom and dad because he brings them on and he talks about them and how they influence him and help him who he wants to be. He rarely talks about his children. He has not spoken about them in years. I only know because I was watching him in the beginning where he talked about his 2 kids. I think it's an older girl and a boy.
Right.
Now he doesn't mention them at all. We've seen his sister. His sister's been on. He's talked about his brother because he started the business with his brother, and his brother started. He wanted to get out, so he got out of VaynerMedia. He's doing something with sports, like that's his passion. So his brother was like, "Okay, go do your thing. I'll handle VaynerMedia." But he does not talk about his personal life. He got a divorce. He didn't talk about that. It's just all of a sudden he had a new girlfriend, and we were like, "What?" But that's what I'm. Yeah, they're engaged. They probably got married, but he's not going to share. What I'm saying is he's not going to share that. You're not going to see it. It may bits and pieces. Like he did the what was the NFT? Not the NFT. He has a conference every year around NFTs and bit. Not
is it Bitcoin?
Yes. So when he does, and see, that's his thing. He will record everything that he does business-wise and turn it into content everywhere. And then he had one year where, okay, there's a woman standing next to him, and he's like, "Oh, I think her name is Mona." Oh, Mona. Everybody was like, "Well, who is it?" Because he doesn't talk about his personal life. He just records what he's doing, and if she didn't want to be in it, he would have cut her out. But I think she's some kind of pharmacist and influencer. I think she has a face line. Something she has, but this benefits her to be in it. But what I'm saying is if he didn't want to include that, he would have cut her out. Even though he records everything, he would have cut her out. Same thing with his parents. He would have cut them out. But then he had his father in because that's a part of his origin story of working for his father's business and doing things for him and then breaking off into his own thing. So see how a lot of that it ties into another thing that I want to talk about, which is storytelling.
Right.
So that's another part of it. So you want to put emotion in storytelling. So you don't want to sell, you just want to have it where your brand feels human, relatable, and unforgettable. And you do that by telling a story. Not, okay, once upon a time. No, you're just, this is what's going on in my day, or this is what happened, or I went to this, or I took a walk, or I came up, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be in this story format of, well, I got to sit down and write a story about.
No, you're just you're not doing Dragnet, just the facts.
Right.
You're putting you're being human.
Yes. You're being human. And like sometimes when I'm talking, things just come out of my head. Like, okay, I remember when I was a kid, or I think last year I talked about my cat and this and that. These are the things that you put in as they fit in.
Right. My cat did. Yeah, you can circle a point around.
Bring it around.
You have a point you want to make, but you can make it within the story. You can talk about like this lady who failed, she failed at blogging for 3 years.
But she has there's a redemption arc. See how that's a story? I had this problem. This happened. I looked at this and I looked at my analytics and I did this and I brought it around successfully. See, that's the format. You can make it about going to pick up the dry clean if you format the art correctly. See, lots of mom bloggers and people that I call them mompreneurs All of their content is around picking up the kids, picking up the laundry, going to the grocery store, blah, 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 blah.
And telling what worked.
Yes. Yes. They don't say, well, I'm going, they turn it into, I'm going to pick up my kids, but let me tell you on the way, blah, 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 the three things you have to do when your kid does something, something. See, she's going to turn it into what my blog is about or what my YouTube channel is about. Oh, that's how you have to do it. The storytelling part of it. It's not, okay, Mary had a little lamb, the three bear. No, you're not doing that. You're simply going, hey, let me record what I'm doing. Gary is doing his VCon. He shows us the planning of it. Why I'm thinking about it. He even showed the he has the little cartoon thing, V Friends. I remember this was before I think the pandemic had first started, and he was like, what do I need to do? I can't have in-person meetings. He sat down and started drawing with a Sharpie. And I remember being in he live stream, and I remember being in the live stream looking at it, and people were commenting like, "Oh, you know, this is so stupid. This is childish. Why are you drawing? Look at those figures, you know, those stick figures. You can't draw. Ha ha ha. What are you doing? You lost the plot." 4 years later,
he's selling V-Friends. And it's like a Pokemon set of cards. I'm still not understanding the whole Pokemon and how you buy cards and trade cards.
It's plushies. It's cartoons. It's a YouTube channel for kids. It is storybooks for kids. Do you see the thought that goes into it? And he said this was something I always wanted to do. He always wanted to do something like Walt Disney, but he didn't know how to do it or when he was going to do it. He just knew the timing would arrive, and it did with the pandemic because, hey, everything shut down. There were no meetings. There was no, people were isolated and stuff. But he's like, okay, now I can sit down and sketch out what I wanted to be, because he knew down the line I would hire a professional graphic artist to draw these figures, turn them into bobbleheads and figures and things like Disney. See how that works? But I remember that when he did the live stream, people were just laughing and making fun of him. Like, what are you doing? That's so stupid. Ha ha ha. You know? Who's laughing now? He's not. But these are the things you have to do as, okay, I'm going to do this. And Gary doesn't care. He's like, he wasn't even paying attention to the comments. He was just white piece of paper, printer paper, a Sharpie. That's it.
Yep.
And he was just sketching out. Oh, I want this to be so and so, and he was sketching it out, and people were laughing. I was like, but he took that sketch to a professional. He took the storyline to a professional. He has people writing his books for him that all he had to do was talk, which is what he's good at. The person who's good at writing a book takes those words and thoughts and things and goes and writes the book. The people take the graphic artist, takes the rough sketch, goes over there and does do the professional things that they know how to do, and turns it into a cartoon, turns it into animation, turns it into, see how it branches off. But you have to know your purpose, your mission, and you have things and ideas that you have in storage for when the downtime comes and you say, hey, this is the perfect time to pull this out because I wrote it down a year ago or whatever. I didn't have time to work on this idea. Now I'm going to turn it into something. And you could turn it into a YouTube channel and make money off of that. And I always talk about YouTube because it's to me, it is this thing where you're plowing the earth, and a lot of people don't want to do the work of that. But the end reward is so much greater. Of I got my own fresh fruits and vegetables. I don't have to go to the store and pick over the rotten strawberries or the moldy this. I go in the back, eggs. I got my own chickens. I go back there and get an egg anytime I want, instead of getting an egg that costs $12 a dozen or whatever the price is. See? But there's hard work involved with it. So that goes into crafting your message of doing all of these things. And why would you want to do it? Because you're going to connect. You're going to connect with the people that you're going to need to connect with. It's going to be an instant lock because you're talking about something they need or want. And remember, I said, what problems are you solving for them? What do you want people to know about in the story that Fran had about the blogging? You figure it out because you're like, wait a minute, something's not connecting, something's not right. Let me go look at my analytics. Let me go look here. Let me try and test. And then I hit upon the perfect formula, like the guy with Coca-Cola. I hit on the perfect formula.
We got comments. We got a couple of comments here. Okay. One from Dr. Tachi. Yes, the end reward is fruitful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mark said, no more pawning your jewelry for a dozen eggs.
Yeah, I got chickens.
And Mark, Tiffany and Cartier now sell it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's surcharges on egg when you go to, I think Waffle House, you have to pay an extra 50 cents an egg. There's a couple of bodegas here in New York that they're doing this because their prices have gone up and they're not making any money, so they have to increase the price of the bacon, egg, and cheese or whatever they're doing with eggs. But these are the things that you need to think about. This is what you need to do.
So do you remember when, breakfast used to be the cheap thing to make on a menu. Breakfast is no longer the cheap thing to make on the menu.
Eggs. I'm like,
okay, Mark got jokes.
The eggs are cheap, but they season with bird flu. That it's the thing that we got to think about because I don't know if I told you, like my neighbor asked for an egg. We ask each other for different things. Like, I don't want to go to put on my coat and go to do you have an egg? And she was like, you have any eggs? I was like, eggs? I don't have any. She was like, well, what do you do? I'm like, I don't eat eggs. I eat something else for breakfast, yogurt and fruit or something like, something simple. So I'm like, she was like, what do you like? She was like, what do you do without an egg? I'm very happy. Without an egg because they want 50% more. Dr. Chachi says, oh, New Yorkers are probably losing their minds because the bacon, egg, and cheese is now more. Yes. I think I read an article, something about it's up to $9-10 now.
This will also shape the special events. If it used to be, if you wanted it to hold a cheaper special event, you did a breakfast event or brunch. You might as well serve filet mignon now.
Think about something smaller or finger foods or something that doesn't involve eggs. I mean, there's life without an egg.
There really is. And people were doing yogurt, avocado toast, and all kind of stuff. But now that they say there's no eggs, everybody's in an uproar because they want eggs. Come on, people.
The people that are really hurting are unfortunately, people that bake, bakeries that need eggs for cakes and stuff. Anybody that needs something that requires an egg, it's going to be really rare now. One of those, like, we joke Tiffany and Cartier eggs, but Fabergé eggs, hey. I'm just saying. But you have to adapt. And I don't know when the end is going to come.
Mark said, now it'll be a day-old donut holes and water from the fountain.
This is where an innovative chef could be like, okay, they still need food for the brunch or the event. Like, what else can we do besides an egg?
Okay, now I'm going to just say it. Remember the days of powdered eggs?
I heard of it, but no, I just not. I was never, as a child, was never an egg person. So that's what I'm saying. With me, I can live without an egg. I'm just like, I don't need an egg. But I know that they have the liquid egg. Like you get the egg. Oh, egg beaters. Do they still have that?
They still have that. They have egg substitute eggs, and I'm looking at the I get something
how much that is.
Okay, so I'm looking at the price of, I get just eggs, right? And it's an egg substitute. It's a plant-based egg.
Okay,
and it's literally $7.99, and it is you get 16 ounces because you can pour it and make it
Yes.
scrambled.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, it's the same price. It hasn't gone up, and nobody told them, I guess.
Well, speaking of, my daughter likes tofu eggs. She doesn't like eggs. So she takes egg and make the tofu scramble, and it's like egg. There's this way you season it and you put stuff in it. I'm not a fan of it, but she likes it. So what I'm saying is that there's alternatives, unless you got, unless you're a billionaire, you can afford eggs, and you're like, well, what are you common people talking about? I can afford all the eggs I want. And I'm like, okay. Good for
and
you.
It's not. I'm noticing this ain't happening everywhere because I'm looking at Instacart, and they got eggs $3.99, cage-free brown.
Well, see, a cage-free brown organic egg in New York in my corner store is like $11, $12 for a dozen.
For a dozen, yeah, this is $3.99. You want me to send y'all some?
It used to be like $5.
I can send y'all some,
I'm just saying, I was just like, well, won't be eggs in my diet for a while until they get rid of the bird flu, and now the bird flu is jumping to the cows. And
okay, so here's the deal: vegetarian is looking real good.
Looking real good. Looking real good. Oh, Dr. Tachi has. You want me to put it up?
Yeah.
Okay. She says it's not a joke. My old university used to do these lavish events for us. I know money was getting tight when they started giving us whole fruits and granola bars at meetings.
Yes.
Then they can't even give you a pastry because some of those need eggs.
Vegans use chickpea flour and tofu scramble as egg substitute.
Yeah, the tofu scramble. My daughter loves it. She knows how she makes that. She knows how to. I'm like, I really don't. I'm just living without an egg. I'm just sharing because my neighbor was like asking me for an egg, and I was like, what?
Okay, now when people are looking for eggs from your neighbor,
eggs. No, it was just she asked. I was like, well, she's like, well, what do you do? I'm living. I'm good. And then the other thing was, I think last week there were no eggs. I saw the color of the egg shelf, which is black, and I've never seen the color of the egg shelf because it was empty. I was like, oh, the shelves are black. I didn't know that because they were full of eggs. Last week there were no eggs in the corner store that I go to. There were no eggs, like none. Even though they were, $12.99, they didn't have any at 12. They didn't have any. So I was just like, well, there you go.
Mark said vegetarian looks good until there are tariffs and no one working to pick the veggies, but that's another story.
See, we could go on and on and on, but I just wanted to, just give you some of this information about crafting a message, some of the things that you need to do, and they're natural. You can do them naturally. It doesn't mean that you have to sit down and craft it. You got to write a business plan. I got to, go to get go to Harvard and get a master's in business, MBA, and how to write a plan. You just have to know what you want to say and who you're saying it to, and what it is. It something they need. Then you craft the messaging around telling a story. Telling a story doesn't mean I'm going to sit down and write the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. No, you're just going to go, well, what's going on in my day to day? And one thing that holds people back from doing this is they think it's boring. But like I said, you tie it into, I was saying the mom is going to pick up the cleaning or go grocery shop or what. She's tying it into her audience because she knows, hey, their moms or this or that, or, want to be moms or this grandmother, whatever it is. And you just tie it in. It's just tying it in. What you're doing, which sounds boring to you, tie it into your audience and what they need, what they want, what they desire. It's all about them and not you.
Okay? Oh, well.
That's it.
So TJ, thank you so much for bringing us this really great information. You all can find TJ everywhere online, Terry Johnson online everywhere. You can also sign up with her at terryjohnsononline.com/info. Get the latest and greatest news because she's got things that's going to help us. She's combed through, kind of like the AI. She's going to comb through and finds out what's working, and bringing it to us with no hallucinations.
It's a lot of information out there. I try.
Mhm. So
Thanks,
thank you
everybody.
so much for taking the time to be with us today. We'll be back, TJ and myself and two other biz chicks. We'll be back on Friday for Tech Life Weekly. We're going to get down into what is happening with social media, what's going on in tech, all of these things. So be sure to tune in for that. And if you have not joined the Biz Chicks community, we invite you to do so. You can text Biz to 33777, or you can just go to bizchicks.net. However you do it, we welcome you and say thank you. And we'll be back here next Tuesday with some more marketing talk.
More marketing talk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Thanks,
we need
everybody.
it. All right. Follow one another online, and we will see you next time.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a good week.
You too.